In 1 minute, we're going to lay out, we're going to listen to launch control communicating with Doug and Bob.
Falcon 9 is ready to start up. Dragon is in countdown. FTS is armed for launch.
You heard it all there. They are armed for launch. The fueling is done. Now 45 seconds comes to
Dragon,
go.
SpaceX, go for launch.
That is the launch director. They are ready to go.
History
We are getting
being
very
made, Mom.
close to T-minus 30 seconds. And you will hear a number of instructions.
30 seconds.
A number of instructions to them once we take off. Space launch lot. First time in nearly a decade, American astronauts on an American
See how it's counting down?
spacecraft
Stage 1 tanks
launching
pressing
from
for flight.
American
T-minus
soil.
15 seconds.
And here comes the countdown now.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff of the Falcon 9.
Hell yeah!
Go SpaceX.
And history is being made again, buddy.
Stage 1 propulsion phenomenon.
I wonder if Bob and Doug are scared.
And 1D throttle down.
That throttle down call is because they are getting ready to close the aerodynamic stressful part of this flight. So they take the power down just slightly.
There is
This
the
is from
1,000
SQ.
kilometers per hour mark. That's 621 miles per hour.
So the vehicle is supersonic.
And 1D throttle up.
Throttling up. There's max Q, the max aerodynamic pressure peak, the most mechanical stress on the rocket. As I look up, we can still see the orange glow, and I tell you what, it took 5 seconds for the vibration and sound from that liftoff to affect this here. You can still see it just screaming almost straight up, even though they're pointing a little bit downrange now.
Start going back engine chill.
Approaching rapidly 3,000 kilometers per hour. That is 1,864 miles per hour.
Chris, well, you see that plume
Chris,
coming
I
out of the
can
back
still see
expanding. That's because there's not as much atmospheric pressure on it, so that's why it expands out like that. And we are getting, that first stage engine's going to fire for about another 20 seconds, 23 seconds.
And Christian, that is really a step that we want to pay attention to, that separation of the first stage that will then return back to Earth.
Yeah, we're going to get very busy here in about 5 seconds. You're going to see MECO, the main engine cutoff, and then you're going to see the separation. And we're standing by for that.
Eco.
Falcon stage separation confirmed.
So the main shut down, and you see separation there too. That
And
is
back
the first
ignition.
stage falling away.
See also
Now
now
the
the
second
second
stage is going to
stage
fire.
leaving the stage 2. They're now approaching 7,000 kilometers per hour, which is 4,049 miles per hour.
Now the thing to watch now, Chris, is that first stage.
Stage 2
It's going to
propulsion
be.
nominal.
That means that's good news. That's the rocket that's still on the Dragon, is doing its job, moving these guys into an orbit that'll put about 200 kilometers below the space station. And you can actually see that second photo. It's great to see inside. There's the triple screen of the two astronauts. The Dragon and the Falcon are basically, actually it's the second stage now, are on autonomous power. But Chris, we really want to pay attention to that first stage. As Davenport says, it's a secondary mission, but it sure is cool to watch it land on that ship out in the Atlantic.
Doug, quickly approaching 8,000 kilometers per hour, which is nearly 5,000 miles per hour. They are really moving. Bob and Doug appearing very, very cool, calm, and collected in the Dragon capsule. Amazing to get that live shot of what they're experiencing right now. I want to bring in Mike Massimino. Mike, take us through what Bob and Doug are going through.
Stage 2 propulsion is still nominal.
Yeah, they are so well trained for this, Chris. They've had countless simulations, played everything, every emergency possible. They're just looking and looking and hoping and praying that everything's going well. It looks like it is. I know that first stage, we're going to be excited to see that, but the world that Bob and Doug are living in is just making sure that that engine is continuing to burn, that they're still on the right trajectory. All the systems are looking good, and it looks like they are. As we see them just watching, that's probably a good sign. That means all the automatic sequences are working well. We don't hear too much chatter coming from the impulsor, MCC. That's a good thing too.
Almost to 10,000.
And then when you hear that word nominal,
Go ahead, Mike, I'm sorry.
when you hear that word nominal coming, no, it's fine. When you hear that word nominal, that's always good. That's the NASA jargon for everything is A-OK. We're looking good, just like we expect. So we want to keep hearing that for a few more minutes and get those engines cut and get them into space safely.
And there's that 10,000 kilometers per hour threshold, which is just over 6,200 miles per hour. And the picture on the right, I have to keep reminding myself that that's a live shot. It looks like the greatest science fiction movie ever produced. It's just so fantastic that the launch was a go today and has been a success so far. Really, really amazing stuff. David Curley, what's the feeling like on the ground? Are you seeing the first stage rocket at all coming back?
Not yet. You can see it. It's got about another 3 minutes until it'll do its entry burn, and there are 9 Merlin rocket engines on them.
Trajectory.
Data say everything is normal with their trajectory, meaning they're heading onto the right path to try and get on the effort to catch up to the space station. So you're seeing in the first stage, you can see those grid fins that you mentioned, Chris Jacobs, that will help guide it. But at 8:45, so plus 8:45, coming up in about 2 minutes, you'll see 3 of those 9 engines fire to slow it down. The first stage doesn't have any of that protection when it comes back into the atmosphere. So the way they overcome that is by firing the engines and slowing it down enough that when it re-enters the atmosphere, it won't burn up. And it'll be a 34-second burn of that entry stage of those 3 engines to bring us in. And seeing some of these pictures of Doug and Bob in the capsule is just remarkable. We haven't seen a lot of American
Stage 2
astronauts.
propulsion is still good.
And just to clarify, that picture on the left is the Stage 2 rocket propelling the Crew Dragon capsule. The picture on the right is actually the Stage 1 Falcon 9 rocket returning to Earth. So those are actually moving in opposite directions as we pass the 15,000 kilometers per hour mark, which is approaching 9,400 miles per hour.
You know, Chris, SpaceX would love to get this booster back, and as we mentioned earlier, they learn a lot when they get these rockets back and take a look at it, but it is secondary. That's the picture on your left. The second stage, as Massimino said, that's what you want to burn. You want that burn to go exactly as it should on the right trajectory. This was an instantaneous launch. They had to go at the right time. There's your start of your entry burn on the right. You're seeing it. It's a little bit early, but they're coming.
Falcon 9 rocket is
So
coming
this is
in
the
hot,
burn that's...
literally.
Yeah, this slows it down. This will go on for about 35 seconds, as I mentioned, just to slow it down. And if you watch those grid fins, you can start to see them kind of move. And that's what keeps this, as we heard earlier in one of the pieces, you know, landing a pencil, that's what keeps it north and south or up and down as it's coming down back into land. And
just
it's
as you
landing
said,
on a
I
drone
think you
ship
saw
in the
those
Atlantic.
start to move. Nearly
So
22,000
that burn is over.
kilometers per
The
hour.
next thing we're going to see,
Terminal guidance.
we will see that at 9:27.
Effect all
plus. Everything's good, they say. Those are the reports from Mission Control. So coming up in about a minute, we'll see the final burn. And as Davenport has told us before, you don't always get to see the landing because you got a camera that's getting shaken, and this is a rocket actually that's coming back to, or you lost the picture. That's kind of what happens.
And there's the 25,000 kilometers per hour, which is 15,534 miles per hour. So again, continuing to accelerate as they make their way to orbit.
Impact throttle step. Impact shutdown.
There's the second stage engine cut off right there. And that will be
That's
jettisoned
good news,
soon
Chris.
as well.
That means that they've got their.
SpaceX nominal orbital insertion.
There they go.
Launch escape system is disarmed.
That's great news. And that's even better news. So they're in the orbit they're supposed to be in. They have just de-armed the escape system. They are where they're supposed to be at the right time. And in a couple of minutes, we'll see separation of the Dragon and loss of that second stage. That's really good news. And Chris, you asked a little bit about the atmosphere down here. There were some people here, even though they didn't open the gates, who were applauding as that Falcon 9 took off and really rattled our chests.
And it looks like Falcon 9 has returned successfully to that drone ship. Just amazing, amazing technology that quickly, in under 10 minutes, that Falcon 9 rocket has propelled Doug and Bob into orbit and has returned safely to its drone trip. I mean, hats off to SpaceX for developing that technology. Truly incredible. Now, Mike Massimino, if you'd like to
Sorry, I
weigh in
wasn't paying attention.
if you'd like to weigh in at this stage, Mike Massimino, Bob and Doug now, you can see they're experiencing weightlessness. They're breaking out their mementos that they've brought from home. What are they experiencing right now?
Utter joy is what it is, and I'm very happy for them. This is great coverage. Those cameras we have, that's another advancement. We didn't have those cameras in the shuttle program. We had used to call it a lipstick camera. One camera we mount on the back of one of the flight engineers, and that's all you had. Now we've got them all over the vehicle, inside the cabin, outside, on the rocket. It's just a wonderful experience we all can share in. But they are feeling utter joy. They are euphoric. They are sublime. They are really happy that they got through that launch system, through that launch sequence. They're really happy to be in orbit and to bring the United States back. Both of these guys are military officers. Bob from the Air Force, Doug a Marine. They are so happy to have done this from American soil again. It's a great day, not just for the United States, but for the whole world, to have the capability to launch from the U.S. again with people inside. And they are just so proud and so grateful that so many people made this possible for them to be a part of. And so they're happy that they're there, and they're proud of being on the team. They are very, very grateful for what we've done today. And all of us can be proud of what we accomplished.
Mike, just 11 and a half minutes into their 19-hour journey, so a lot longer to go before they reach the ISS. What do they do now for the next 18 hours and 50 minutes?
Yeah, they get ready. They have to transfer to an orbital stage. We used to call it post-insertion. I'm sure they still call it the same thing. There's usually no rest for the weary. There's plenty of things to do. They're going to have to set up their cockpit so they can get ready to do their rendezvous. They're probably going to get some rest coming up here, I would think, before they do rendezvous and the final rendezvous and docking. They'll probably maybe get somebody in to see how they're feeling. That's the other thing. It's been a while since either of these guys have been in space. Doug has been almost 9 years, and Bob maybe just a little bit longer than that. I was a Capcom for his last flight. So they've got to get their space legs back, and sometimes you don't feel as well as you'd like when you're first unstrapped because your body's getting used to it. Your vestibular system is not working any longer. But I think these guys will probably be just fine.